Hey guys, there's a prevailing culture online right now that is basically telling people, young people such as myself, um, and maybe you've seen this too, that we're running out of time. In one way or another, um, they're basically saying, the world's ending, you're getting older, all of these 16, 17, 18-year-olds are making all this money. They're making millions of dollars. They've got this car and that car and this watch and this house and going on these trips, and you're behind. Um, and I'd like to push back on that just a little bit because, one, I don't think it's true, and two, I don't think it's helpful. Um, money isn't everything, but money is helpful. So I don't want to deny that sort of desire to want something like that, or to live a similar lifestyle, and to make sure you do it while you're young, and you want to do it before you have kids, or you want to do it before you get too old. There's a lot of people I've heard that will say, like, I want to retire early because what am I going to do, work until I'm 60 and then what, and then I can't do anything because I'm too old. And there is some truth to that, but I think we take it to the extreme and we say, well, I'm gonna be too old to do anything when I'm 60, so I'm going to hustle and grind and work myself to death right now, and then hopefully I'll have enough money to retire before then, and then I can enjoy my life while I'm young. But it's kind of a paradox if you think about it. You should be enjoying your life while you're young. On this channel, I'm going to be talking a lot about personal finance and saving for retirement and making good financial decisions. Saving an emergency fund, making sure you're putting away stuff into investments and things that will compound down the road. But none of it can be done at the expense of your health and your well-being and your ability to enjoy life every day. Because we sort of take our younger years for granted, and we take our later years as expected. And so while yes, it would suck to get to be 60, 70 years old, and now you can finally do all the things you wanted to do. You can finally retire and you can travel the world, and it would suck if you were old and your body was falling apart and maybe you didn't have the energy to do those things, and so you'd rather do them now. But I would say, if you're not living now, you're not going to know how to live then. What I mean by that is, if your whole life revolves around the future and worrying about the future and what are you going to do in the future, and so you postpone being happy now, that's what we call anxiety. You're basically living in fear of the future every single day, and you're going to continue to live in the future. And there's nothing worse than constantly living in a place that doesn't even exist. Like, the future, it's coming, but it's not here. It doesn't exist. Right now exists. This is where you are. This is who you are right now. There's no guarantee of tomorrow. There's no guarantee of 40, 50 years. You're here. You're here right now. So That's why I approach things like personal finance as a set of principles instead of a set of goals, because the principles basically tell you, how do I live right now in a wise way that allows me to continue my enjoyment into the future. It's not to postpone your enjoyment for the future. It's to continue your enjoyment into the future. So, maybe there's periods of your life where you feel like, for these 6 months, I'm really going to sit down and I'm going to grind. And I'm just going to do more work than I've ever done. And we're going to really leapfrog ahead. That's fine. But if you put all of your worth into something like that and it doesn't pan out, or even worse, something happens to you and it can't pan out, it's sort of a gamble. It's sort of a gamble saying, like, I'm not going to live right now with the expectation that I will live in the future. It's almost entitled. It's taking your life for granted. And it's, in a way, taking your life right now. Because if you're not living, then you're dead. For the longest time, I had a tremendous amount of anxiety. I do today. I did an hour ago. A tremendous amount of anxiety. That's what sparked this conversation right now. It's this anxiety over, I have to make more money. I have to be doing more things. I need to look this way. I need to, all of these things that you sit there and you worry about and you feel bad about because they're not here right now. And, I'm sure that there's a lot of people watching this that, maybe you're young. Let me give you some background. There were many years, especially COVID and post-COVID, where I had no clue what to do. No clue at all. I would sit in my room and I'd watch videos or scroll Instagram or scroll TikTok, or try and force myself to have hobbies because I felt like I was supposed to, or it just this general feeling of isolation, this general isolation actually. And you sort of, when you get into that online sphere, you get sucked into all of these expectations and seeing what everyone else is doing and feeling like you should be doing it too. And so you're like, okay, let me try out this thing. Let me try, drop shipping. Let me try day trading. Let me try some form of e-commerce. Let me try Amazon FBA. Let me try, like TikTok shop or YouTube shorts, or, you start to feel like that's the only thing that will get you out, that'll get you out of the rat race. And once you can do that, once you can figure it out, whether you have a passion for it or not, then everything will be okay. Then I'll have enough money, then I can enjoy my life. But if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Sorry, there's mosquitoes everywhere right now. Don't do it. Don't do it. And that's not to say that, don't do the hard things that you're supposed to do. Don't do your homework, or don't go to class, or, just don't cook yourself a meal and order out instead. There's smart, wise things to do. But if you're just looking at what you do every day as the way to maximize income or the way to maximize money so that you can live a different life than you're currently living, I don't know what to say except don't do that. You know, like I'm a true believer that what you enjoy doing is what you're gonna be good at, and what you're good at is what you're gonna enjoy doing. So if you don't enjoy grinding out e-commerce, don't even waste your time on it. Just don't. Like and let me dispel this myth here. I saw a crazy statistic recently it was basically sort of like an exit poll for the different generations of what each generation thought was a decent income to earn. And it was like boomers, $99,000 or something. A little bit more for Gen X, a little bit actually less, somewhere around like the 120 range or so for millennials. And then Gen Z, it was crazy. It was like $578,000 that they expected to earn. Like, you might be part of that small group that makes that much money, but if you're expecting to make that much money, you are going to be very disappointed. You know, and you don't need that much money. You don't. The money, it's a cliche. People have heard it 1,000 times that money is not going to buy happiness. Money will buy security, and money will buy, for a while, it'll buy a sense of well-being. It'll help you afford a house. It'll help you raise kids. It'll help you save for retirement. Maybe save for your kids' college. It'll let you travel and have free time and all of that. Like, it does have its perks. It has its benefits. But money does not buy contentment. And contentment is what we're after here. Because happiness comes and goes. Happiness comes when you're surrounded by the friends that you like. Happiness comes when you're well fed. Happiness comes... You don't control when you're happy. Sometimes you wake up and you're happy. And that's a good thing. And sometimes everything in your life is going well and you're just not happy. But you can be content. And contentment is not happiness. Contentment is the decision to enjoy where you are right now. Like right now, there's mosquitoes all over my feet. I've got a whole bunch of chigger bites on my legs. But I can choose to be content with that and say, well, that's just the nature of being outside. You know, that's just what life is like right here and right now, and I can be content with that. And so to relate that, basically, like I talked about, I lost my job last week, got fired. So it was my fault. It came as a bit of a surprise because I didn't think that what I did was just to give you some context, like I showed up late too many times. They're very strict. They have a very strict policy on that. And so, I was surprised because I didn't think I'd been late that much, but I had been, so I have to take accountability for that. But I noticed, and I noticed especially this morning, and that's what is sparking this conversation, is that those feelings of anxiety, that, my goodness, that mad dash to find the next thing, get the next job, I need to start a business, I need to this and that and this and that, and this fear and this discontentment with where I was at started to creep back in. And realistically, not that much is different. Like, I'm worried about not getting paid. Well, even if I still had the job, I wouldn't be getting paid for another 2 weeks. So at least the next 2 weeks is financially exactly the same. Okay, so I can rest easy on that. Well, it's a Monday morning, and normally I would have been at work 4 hours ago. Okay, it's a little scary. Routine's a little different, but hey, I can be out here, I can be outside, I can make this video, I can talk about something that is on my mind, and that's okay. It's okay to feel okay with where you're at. You can want something different and still be okay with where you are. You can, like, I know that the wise thing for me to do would be to have a job. Well, okay, since I don't have one, what can I do? The wise thing is to continue to send out applications every day. Don't just sit inside and rot. And what I've noticed is those feelings of anxiety, they never give me anything good. Like, it's a signal of maybe something isn't right in my life, or something isn't the way that I want it to be. But the feeling itself doesn't actually accomplish anything. So you can notice it. That's the first part, is you notice it. And then once you've noticed it, then you can feel it, you can accept it, you can understand that it's here, and then you can try to learn from it. You don't act on it. You don't act on it. You learn from it. You say, why do I feel this way? What is going on? And, maybe it's obvious, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not entirely obvious, and maybe it's easy to miss if you take that fear and that anxiety and that discomfort, that unrest, and you try to do something about it right away without even feeling it. It's like if somebody ran into the room and started yelling something, and you went, okay, and you grabbed a fire extinguisher, and you ran out of the room, you went down the hall, and you went, there's no fire. Like, well, yeah, but they ran into the room and they were yelling that they were happy they got a promotion. And so you heard the yelling, you felt it initially, and you went, crap, I have to do something. Let me go put out this fire. But you didn't listen to it. You didn't hear it and understand what it was actually saying. Does that make sense? And so a lot of the times, the anxiety, especially relating to this topic of, finances, more often than not, unless it's a in-your-face pressing financial issue, like we don't have enough money to pay rent, if there's this anxiety about, I feel like I don't have enough money, but you take a moment and you look around and you see that you do, Like, if you have a house and you have food, you have a place to sleep, that's the amount of money you should worry about. Anything over that is a blessing. It's extra, and it's fine to desire extra, but you don't get scared about not having extra. You don't feel like you're worthless for not having extra. And so take it slow. Slow down. Listen to the feeling. Understand that you have the feeling. And sit with it. And feel it. And you might find that maybe that your fear of lacking money doesn't come from the lack of money, but your fear of the lack of money comes from your fear of not having enough or thinking that you should have more. There are some areas in the United States that $60,000 is not going to cut it. If you live in New York, it's going to be tough to live alone on $60,000. Honestly, if I'm being 100%, I've lived alone quite a few times over the past 4 or 5 years. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for you. I think roommates are good. I think family is good. I think community is good. If you have a relationship, that's fine. But feeling like you need to live alone to find yourself, being alone is okay in small amounts. But when you do it all the time, when you isolate yourself, like we all sort of had to do during COVID, for lack of a better word, you start to go a little crazy. And maybe you don't think it's crazy, but it is a little bit crazy to think that you don't need anyone. Because at some point you do, and other people need you. So, if rent is your biggest expense, and you're living alone, if rent is your biggest expense and you're living alone, I have an easy solution for that. Well, maybe not easy, but simple. A simple solution, and that is split the cost. Find a friend. Make a friend. Develop a community around you. And that'll take a lot of your financial burdens away. But it'll enrich your life socially. And back to what we said at the beginning of the video, enriching your life now is more important than anything else, because now is all you have. So if you can find friends and make friends, and maybe you can't go on this $2,000, $3,000 trip to Europe, but if you could buy your friend a coffee, if you could walk down the street or drive to a coffee shop or something, you could get coffee together, get some ramen, some other food that you're into. Be content with that. Be content with that for now, and truly allow yourself to enjoy it. Tell yourself that it's okay, because it is. It is okay. And you sort of say this out loud to yourself, like, my life is bad because I can only afford to have food and enjoy the company of my friends. It does sound a little crazy. Just a little bit. So I guess the greater point of this whole conversation is, if you have anxiety about money, if you have anxiety about future, the future, then feel it, understand it, listen to it, and see how crazy it sounds. Just a little bit. I think that's all I have for today. Ask me any questions you want in the comments. Continue this conversation, encourage each other. I'll see you guys next time.